Welcome to part 2, I guess. Well, pretty much all of what Matthew says about the Magisterium in video number 2 of the Golden Compass I already covered in my last one. But one thing I do have to mention is the casting of Christopher Lee as one of the Magisterium members. It was a bit part in the Golden Compass, but and fans of the books would know that his character has a much larger role in film 2, The Subtle Knife, which never ended up getting made, so he just got screwed out of that one. The problem is, they cast such a recognizable actor, and an actor who mostly plays villains at that, as this character. And so people would recognize him in film number 2, if it ever was made, when in fact we're supposed to not be suspicious of him at the first time that he appears. It's only about halfway through the story that we realize he's a member of the Magisterium and a bad guy because of that. So, nice job once again removing any kind of suspense or surprise from your story, guys. Of course, the other big thing in this part of the review is the scene in which Mrs. Coulter insists that Lyra take off her handbag. This scene is taken from the book, but in the book it's much more effective for two reasons. For one thing, the movie could have done a much better job of telling us that the alethiometer is in the handbag, and before Lyra left the college president told her not to give the alethiometer to Mrs. Coulter or let her know she has it, whatever she does. Now, Lyra likes Mrs. Coulter, and she doesn't know why the president gave her this order, but she respects him enough and trusts him enough to follow it. You may also notice this makes her much less of an asshole, so thanks for that, screenwriters. And the other reason is that in the book, Mrs. Coulter makes no attempt to reason with Lyra about the handbag at all. Their conversation pretty much just goes, take off that handbag, but I like this handbag, and then Mrs. Coulter has her monkey attack Lyra's demon. It comes off as just Mrs. Coulter cannot stand to be disobeyed even in the slightest and most arbitrary way, and her immediate reaction is violence. It's a very scary moment, and in fact the dialogue that is repurposed as Mrs. Coulter reasoning with Lyra in the movie, in the book, is actually from the scene immediately afterward, in which she's simply gloating to Lyra about how she's gotten the better of her. Once again, nice job, screenwriters, removing any kind of real characterization or point to what is a pretty pivotal scene in the book in which Lyra first realizes just how in over her head she really is. Well, that's pretty much all that I have to say about this part of the movie, because believe me, the worst is yet to come, and I will have plenty to say when part 3 of Matthew's review of the Golden Compass is put out. 5 words will get you another demon.